Coming up on today's episode, my jaw was on the floor. I've never seen abortion portrayed in this way in my studio apartment in Tarzana, like with roaches, and me and the roaches are hanging out and, smoking cigs. And if you find yourself near a bonfire and actually catch on fire, leave it be. It's extremely cinematic. There's very little that I didn't like about this movie, if anything at all.
The answers that you're looking for are lying just beyond the frame.
Hello everyone, I am your host Ryan Vanderhei. I am a writer, director, and longtime cinephile, and to my right, your left, is my co-host. You want to tell the people a little bit about yourself there, Joe?
My name is Joe. My name's Joe. I'm an actor guy here in LA.
Yes.
And I've loved movies for a long, long time. And Ryan and I met in an acting class, and we connected over the stuff that we share with you on the podcast, on our YouTube channel, because we think there's a lot to this art form. We get a lot out of it. We love talking about it, and hopefully you'll enjoy our discussion as well.
Yeah, it's so much more than entertainment, so much more than
really
just, a couple of elements stringing together. We can really take away something from
we can be
these movies.
Entertained. I mean, there's a full spectrum.
Totally.
Which is so fascinating.
Yeah, moved emotionally, and again, walk away questioning, thinking about big questions. And I think that's the whole point.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's why we're here. The cat agrees with us. So on today's episode of Beyond the Frame, we're talking about the 2019 French indie film, Portrait of a Lady on Fire. The theme that we're going to explore today is not all love is meant to last. This is our spoiler-free section, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you're safe. I will let you know when we're heading into spoiler territory. The cat will probably let you know, too.
Mm-hmm.
So this continues our month of Pride Month, LGBTQ movies. Portrait of a Lady on Fire takes place in the 18th century, and it is about a woman who travels to a remote island to paint a portrait of a woman who is soon to be wed. Throughout their time together, the two women fall in love with each other and are forced to face down the reality of their situation. It is directed by Celine Sciamma and stars Noemie Merlant and Adele Haenel. As tradition, let's start with what we liked about the film, shall we? We like to start it on a light note. Honestly, there might be only things I liked. There's very little that I didn't like about this movie, if anything at all. So I think this section's going to be quite long for you. First things first. The writing. Listen to this line. This doesn't give anything away. Just listen to this line, okay?
I did really like this line a lot.
Do all lovers feel they're inventing something?
I actually said out loud, oh, hell yes.
Yes, absolutely, girl. That is so damn good. And one more, just in case you needed one more.
Throw another one on me.
One more. Don't regret, remember. So simple and yet so effective. This movie, Joe, it's a slow burn.
Yeah, it is.
It is. It's a very slow burn.
It's appropriate for the time that it's supposed to represent. The late 1700s.
I love that you say that. It takes its time. And I think if you go into that movie with that kind of expectation, you'll be rewarded with a strikingly human, grounded, honest story of love between two people. That's what this movie is. This movie is kind of like a painting. It's like the profession of the lead character. This movie was like a painting to me. Every scene, every shot, meticulously crafted and very romantic. Not romantic in the sense of love between two people. Not only that, but just romantic in how the scene moved and how the frame breathed. Everything just felt so, I don't know, cohesive.
Yeah, agreed. I thought of you quite a bit watching this because visuals are an important element of a movie, but I know that's really important to you.
Totally.
And so I thought about you a lot because I thought so much of the framing was really beautiful. How it followed the characters, how it showed them physically even.
Totally.
Was really beautiful. How they used the landscape, how they used the beach, the cliffs, the old house, the kitchen. I just
Everything about it
done.
was really raw.
Yeah.
And really put you in the time period, which I think is a hats off to the director at how she was able to bring us there.
Yeah, for
Bring
sure.
us to this time. I felt like I was in the room with them, and we'll get into more specifics about what she did. But I'm going to talk about very specific shots that absolutely blew me away in the spoiler section because they do reveal a little bit about the film too much. So hang on with us until we get there. There's no score.
Yeah, I noticed.
To this film at all. There's no non-diegetic music, I should say. So non-diegetic refers to music that's coming not from the actual life and world that they're in. There is diegetic music, the women
chanting,
singing, the chanting on the beach, and the
harpsichord,
the opera, all of that. Like that's all diegetic. And I think that helps enhance our experience and transport us to that time period. Like we were saying, it helps put us in the rooms. You hear like the sound design was fantastic. You hear like the creaking of the floor.
Oh, you sure did.
And like the room tone and like the crackling of the fire. Excuse me. That all really helps create this atmosphere.
Agreed. Did you actually find in the trivia section that the director obviously did that very much on purpose?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
And did you read what she had said about that?
No.
She felt that it had its own rhythm and its own music, if you will.
I did read that.
She didn't feel that she needed to add music because of the footsteps, because of the creaking, because she even thought the physical motion added a type of rhythm that you didn't need to have. And part of why I really like that, Ryan, as a quick aside, I think you and I are also very sensitive to the music that's being played.
Totally.
And I am a massive music lover. And so
same.
My ears instantly.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate the difficulty of choosing how to score a movie, even which songs to put in.
And which scenes.
And you have to be respectful of the viewer, not overly manipulative, because when I hear soundtracks that are just so overtly trying to point me in a particular emotional direction, sometimes it pisses me off.
It has the opposite effect.
Exactly.
Where I know. I
feel like you're condescending.
You want me to.
Exactly.
You're spoon feeding me.
Right. And I'm not going to go there. Just because you want me to, I'm not going to.
Totally.
And this was just like, here is what's happening. We're just watching what's happening.
Absolutely. And I have a ton of respect for this director. It is a very delicate balance to find in each film of where and how much and what tone and what pitch, because it really is going to manipulate the audience.
That's
and
right.
You want to be able to do that subtly. You want to be able to have it there without you noticing it, and you just feel.
Mm-hmm.
And the decision to not have any music at all because you feel like it already has this rhythm is a very difficult decision to make.
I believe you. Difficult. And it also, look, this place takes place on an island.
Very isolating.
Very isolating.
Totally.
So
it all drives it home.
Yeah, it
Brilliant.
Really does.
Continuing in our praise of this film, we have two absolutely powerhouse actors who deliver gut-wrenching performances.
They were so much fun to watch.
I mean, we talked about how this is a slow burn, but I was glued to the television because of their performances. They were captivating in every shot and every scene. How did the acting feel for you as an actor?
It felt genuine. It felt spot on. I never thought I don't buy it. I never thought I saw anything that was inappropriate to their characters. I was very impressed.
Was this your first time seeing it?
Yes.
Okay. This was my second time watching it. I watched it back in 2019 when it first came out.
Okay.
And was blown away then. And then when we decided on Pride Month, I was like, oh, have to see this movie. And I appreciated it even more this time around because I was able to really analyze those elements and what makes it so great. The first time you watch a movie, you're kind of experiencing it. Mm-hmm. And you're just letting it all wash over you. At least that's what I try to do. And then the second time I see a film, I can pay more attention to the different elements of filmmaking.
Yeah.
The score or lack of.
Totally makes sense.
The cinematography, the performances, I can really dial in. And so this time it grew that appreciation of it. And I just thought, wow, this is a really beautiful piece of work from everyone involved. And it's these kinds of movies that that are nominated for the Palm and that are nominated for Oscars and Golden Globes. And like, that's why they get this kind of recognition, because it just kind of pulls every string together to create this fantastic piece.
Yeah.
How did you feel about it overall? Did you enjoy it?
I did. Oh yeah. I thought it was really beautifully done. I also really like the ending, and that helps how I feel about a film. Because you could appreciate what she was going through, what she was hearing, and we got to hear it with her.
Yes, and that maybe makes that last scene so impactful, is because we didn't have music throughout.
That's
the film.
right.
So when you hear the chanting on the beach, it's like it wakes you up. It wakes something up in you, and it feels so raw. And then at the end, when we're watching that long zoom you're talking about, it does. We feel what she's feeling because we're experiencing that music with her in that moment.
And I do believe it was the same piece that was being played on the harp
piano. Yeah. We're gonna get into our spoiler section here soon. But first, are our stars aligned?
I'm gonna guess first of all what you gave it.
Okay, let's see. Let me pull it up. Let me make sure. Okay,
I'm gonna guess you gave it 4. 4.5.
I gave it 4.5 stars.
Right
I had
on.
given Call Me by Your Name 4.5.
Okay.
And I'm like, I can't. I do feel maybe I enjoy Call Me by Your Name. To me has a little bit more rewatchability.
Yeah.
But this film is I think it's a masterpiece. And I was like, I can't put it below Call Me by Your Name. So that's why I gave it the 4.5. I think you gave it 4. 3.5.
I gave it 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
And
that's still great.
It is still great. And it is a movie I would recommend. And it's only, there's something about this,
oh, I like this. I like where this is going.
I didn't expect to actually try to say this, but
explain why you gave it 3.5.
Yeah, because
no
there's
pressure.
There's just a bit of an element that I guess I could not relate to. I can understand how this is happening with them, but it didn't strike any kind of personal chord with me.
Okay, why do you think that was? In terms of what? In terms of like this being, because I felt a little bit of, how did they fall in love so quickly?
That's part of it, because I couldn't relate to just that instant. And I mean, I've had that to a degree, but never to that degree. So I'm looking at that going, wow, I wonder what that's like.
That's so profound. Yeah. To be, having just met someone and only know them very little and only in a couple of days develop this strong, passionate emotions.
Right. And it seems that it was a love that spanned decades.
Totally.
And so it wasn't just like a summer infatuation. And it was indeed, 12 days?
Yeah.
I just personally couldn't relate.
And maybe I give it grace because of the time period. Because I imagine back then it was so different. It was so profound. And your relationships and your interactions with people were so meaningful. Whereas I think now, today, because we have social media and we have all, technology, we're less appreciative of a moment and appreciative of a relationship.
I think there's something
to a degree.
I think there's something to that. It's also that was to me very French, and it was very European. And
totally.
I'm all in to a very tragic degree, and I can't breathe without you. And again, that's nothing against the movie, but I guess that's where I didn't give it more stars because I just couldn't connect. Like, Call Me by Your Name. I've never had a fling with another man, but there's something about how that story unfolded that just connected with me personally.
Sure. Agreed. I connected with that story more than I did with this one. I will agree.
And yet, boy, did I appreciate this on
100%.
all the levels you're talking about. And do I recommend this movie? God, yes.
Yeah, 100 times.
And God, the actors were so believable. And they were beautiful with each other. They had fantastic chemistry. And to see one character to watch her blossom, it's beautiful.
Oh, it was wonderful.
It was beautiful.
So, spoiler alert here. We're heading into spoiler territory before I do the facts, because some of the facts do reveal a little bit about the story. So you have been warned. So page 28 is not a randomly selected book page. When 8 is rotated 90 degrees clockwise, as it is in the film, the number turns into the common symbol for infinity. So 28 is a subtle and emotionally moving symbol in the film for Forever Us Two. Wow! When I read that in the fun facts, like the IMDb trivia, where we get these from, I was like, that is fan. I didn't think about that when I watched it. I knew 28 meant something to them, to the characters, and that was a very moving moment for me. I loved that scene dearly when she tracks through the crowd and sees the page. I absolutely adore that. But I didn't put 2 and 2 together that it was to infinity. That's brilliant. Did you pick up on that or not until you read the... Yeah, okay.
I just knew that 28 was important. I didn't understand the symbolism.
To infinity. Yeah, that's brilliant. That's just those small details that you put in there. So... Helene Delmer, the artist, I might be butchering that. I really apologize.
It's hard with French.
Helene Delmer, the artist hired to do the sketches and the paintings in this film, painted for 16 hours every day during the course of filming. And it's actually her hand that you see painting in each of which makes sense.
It does make sense. And it was actually fascinating to watch an artist and how she manipulated the brush and her strokes, and it's like she does that there and that there. I'm like, why? How do you see that? Why does that make sense? I was fascinated by that process.
Totally.
And just thought, man, that is a skill I ain't got.
Yeah, that's a skill I don't have, man. I've never been able to like draw, paint, anything like that.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Mad respect.
I have a lot of respect. Yeah, so it was really cool to see how the decision she made and why, and the director did it justice too. To like, we held a lot of those shots for a while. Like there were some long shots where we're really just watching her
paint
while a conversation's happening, and I thought that's brilliant. That's brilliant to hold the focus here on the painting and what the artist is doing. It gives us a more, I guess, interesting and intimate view into what they're thinking as this conversation is taking place. So I thought that was...
Both things are developing.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's great.
Agreed.
So let's get to our theme, huh?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about it. So here are a few scenes and shots that before we talk about the theme, I just have to mention. I said earlier I'd get to it. We're here.
Okay.
Because they just deserve to be talked about, okay? The shot of the abortion with the baby. I have never seen... I paused it and I couldn't remember it from the first time I watched it. My jaw was on the floor. I've never seen abortion portrayed in this way, where the shot I'm talking about is of the housemaid is pregnant and wants to get rid of the child. She has an unsuccessful remedy with some tea, and then she goes back to the midwife and has an abortion, and the camera goes over bird's eye, and there's a baby next to her.
She's lying on a bed.
She's lying on a bed. She's lying back on a bed, and the camera's above her, and we're watching as she's, obviously in distress, and there's a baby that we can hear and see is like holding onto her hand, and I just...
Yeah, and grabs her nose.
I just thought how profound, how fascinating of a shot, and how deliberately complicated that is.
Yes.
Because the thing that you're doing is also right next to you. It's grabbing onto you. You can hear it. I mean, that is so complicated. It's not even funny.
Isn't it?
And I've never seen that done before.
And I loved even the setup before that particular aspect of this scene took place, because we're at the midwife's home, you know,
Yeah.
and this isn't like, you know, a doctor's office. And granted, this is the late 1700s.
This is where you went.
But, you know, she had her get on probably her own bed.
Yeah, where
Where
she
there
sleeps.
are two of her kids,
Yeah,
like kind of playing on the bed.
Totally.
One's maybe a toddler, 2 or 3. The other one is probably
An infant,
8
yeah.
months old, less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
Can't walk yet, you know, way younger than that now that I'm thinking about it. Probably 6 months old.
Yeah, just making noises
so
and grabbing.
She has her lay down on the bed, you know, kind of put the knees up, right next to her kids who are just right there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the irony of a child, while you're having the one inside of you aborted, it's
heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking, and it's
also
so
very
beautifully done.
Yeah, very just beautifully done. Hats
The most
off.
a beautiful abortion scene you could ever imagine.
Sure, 100%. The next one, the shot of her painting herself at the end with the mirror reflection. Oh my God. Again, I paused. I went, this is absolutely brilliant. This is such a fantastically crafted shot. I just couldn't get enough of it. The ending with the 28 in the book. There was so much to love about this film. So many elements, so many shots, so many scenes, so many moments that I just couldn't get enough of. And I can't give enough praise to the director, to everyone involved, to making this thing come to life. So to our theme now, the film that we're exploring today, and the theme that we're exploring today is that not all love is meant to last. Or as we have all famously heard, it is better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Do we know where that comes from? Where's that from? Shakespeare?
That Willie guy, I was going to say.
The Willie guy. I don't know where that comes from. If somebody can tell me that'd be great. But I just know that's such a famous saying.
Yeah,
that we
for
all
sure.
have heard before.
For sure. That's why we would just give it to Shakespeare.
Exactly.
Because it seems like it's been
It's so
around
iconic,
forever. And,
yeah. And it's worth noting before we dive in that my perspective on this is that it's a good thing. I look at this positively, that not all love is meant to last. I mean, in reality, nothing lasts, right? We're all going to die. Everyone we know is going to die. Everyone who's ever lived in history has died. So nothing lasts. And I think love is kind of in that way as well, both romantically and platonically. Like I've had friendships, I've had people that I've loved dearly, and that we part ways eventually.
Yeah.
And our lives take separate paths.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. I don't
I
think that there's
totally
anything
agree.
I'm not latching on. I'm not like disappointed. And do I miss them at times? Absolutely. But do I look at it in a negative way? Absolutely not. I think that's going to give context to how I talk about this.
Okay.
At the start here. What's your perspective on? Do you feel that way as well? Do you look at it from that kind of point of view? Or
I do, but I gotta, I don't know, just the way I am, the way I was raised, it took me time to get there, though. Because,
Sure.
I don't know, you're younger, maybe you think, oh, you love something, it's in perpetuity. This will go on forever.
Yeah.
And you just have to learn that everything has a life cycle. Everything.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that does. So my perspective on it has absolutely grown and broadened, and I completely agree with you. Yeah.
Are there any relationships, romantic, because that's what this movie explores, romantic relationships in your own life that kind of fit this bill? They didn't last, but you can look back on them with appreciation and fondness?
Yeah, I think I've been fortunate in that sense. I think I've also been fortunate in the sense of, this from, our friendship outside of doing this, is that I'm still good friends with several of my exes.
Yeah.
Because I love them.
Yeah.
And even if we're not together, it doesn't mean I don't love them. So, and I've been to several of their weddings. One of my exes, I was in her wedding. I was a groomsman.
Wow. Yeah. That's
and,
amazing.
I love Gabby. I love her husband, Jason. They're awesome. Actually, they're better together than she and I were. She and I are like, it's good that we're friends.
Yeah.
It's like that role suits us.
Absolutely.
So yes, I absolutely had that. And you?
And that's before I say, I just want to say that's a kudos to you. It reveals a lot about your character, I think, to people. I think anybody who's watching who doesn't know you like I know you and listening, you can tell a lot about somebody by how they handle things like that. I mean, I've met so many people in my life, and I was there at one point, like you said, you grow and you learn, where it's like you break up with somebody, I hate them. I never want to see him again.
Well,
And you have this like animosity. And growth of a person's character is to realize that things didn't work out between us, and that's okay. We weren't right for this reason or that reason, and that's all right. And I did love you for reasons, and those reasons don't just disappear because we're not together anymore.
That's right. And look, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a transition period also.
Totally.
Because
it's not like right away you're like, yes, we're friends.
We're friends.
Now,
This is
and
awesome. Let's go to a movie.
Yeah, totally. It takes time. You need to heal.
It does.
You need to move on,
Exactly.
and then hopefully in years, months, whatever it is, you can come back to feeling like, oh yeah, that shaped a part of who I was. And
absolutely.
for that, I'm grateful.
Right. And yeah, because to me, I feel like I've had, I don't just feel like, I know I do have outstanding, beautiful people in my world. Extremely thankful for them. And that a breakup is not a compelling reason to discard someone.
Totally. Agreed.
So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. To answer your question, I have several, as most of us probably do. Both romantic and platonic, but because this film explores romance, I will stay in that realm. My most recent ex-girlfriend, one that I began to date during the pandemic, was exactly that.
Okay.
It was a pandemic relationship. I mean, truthfully, we were both going through something difficult, me being in a new city and under lockdown, living alone.
New state and city. And
I moved to the other side of the country.
Right.
And then suddenly I was thrown into this crazy world of, lockdown. And I'm like just in my studio apartment in Tarzana, like with roaches, and me and the roaches are hanging out and, smoking cigs. It was tough. It was a really difficult time for me mentally.
Sure.
And she was there for me through that. And when we started to see each other, she lost her father very unexpectedly at like 50. And it was a real shock. And I think I was able to be there for her. I hope that I was able to be there for her. So it was like two people that needed each other. And we were able to be there for each other. And we were to help each other through it. Once the world opened up again, a couple of years had gone by and she had healed. I had healed. Things started to go back to normal. We both knew. We both understood that she was back home in Delaware. I was here in LA. We both kind of knew you don't want to move out here. I don't want to move back. But I can look back, and at the time it was so difficult because I loved her so dearly. And it was a hard time. Like you said, it's a transition phase. But now I can look back on it. And that was only a few years ago. I can look back and I'm so appreciative of her and of the relationship that we had, because I do feel like we both needed each other. And we helped each other through parts of our lives. We helped each other grow and see things. And I'm so thankful for that.
Right on. Well, then, and that's back at you. And that says a lot about your character. So,
and I hope she feels the same way too. I hope that she can look at it as like, we didn't break up as this helps. We didn't break up because of like like somebody cheated or there was like, you know what I mean? Like it was just two people who amicably were like, we kind of feel like this thing has met its end.
Yeah.
And it's fizzled out, and now we can go our separate ways, So
good on you. Yeah.
Let's get back to the film, shall we? Let's circle
do
it back.
that.
I promise we have a point to all this. So there's a scene towards the end of the film that I slightly mentioned before, the one where Mariana paints herself in the reflection of the mirror that Eloise is holding. Marianne has a small painting of Eloise, and Eloise says to her, and I love this, "Eventually you'll see her when you think of me." And I thought that was brilliant. That hit so hard for me, not emotionally, but I can just the idea that that's so powerful that eventually someone just becomes a memory to you, and you see them as that. You see them here. They're not in the flesh. They're not in front of you. And if you have a photo, and maybe it was 10 years ago, you have the photo, that's what you see them as. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's such a profound idea and thing to say. And so that's what prompts Marianne to paint herself, so that she will also have a painting of her. And I just thought, oh my God, how moving that is. Obviously, this is the 18th century.
Right.
So this is before film and photography, but it's still very applicable today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something so cinematic, so almost bittersweet about that idea. I mean, I imagine it was more profound back in the day because, we didn't have photo, we didn't have film, we didn't have TV, we didn't have, I could just take a video
And
on
who
my
knew
phone.
how to paint that well?
100%.
So if you weren't in love with someone who was a great painter, you're screwed.
You had to commission someone to
Right.
take a boat
And if you didn't have the right
out to a remote
Yes,
island.
and if you didn't have the money for that, well, then you're dead screwed. You have to rely on your memory, and that's
Totally.
it.
Everyone had these at the time period. If you had the money, had these like wedding portraits. Like
Yeah.
you'd get a good portrait of you painted before you got married, so that you could hang it in your new house.
Right.
So
Right.
that just to me was like incredible. And now we have the sidewalk is being
Local jackhammering.
Local jackhammer. Sorry, folks, if you can hear that. We'll try and denoise that in the post production. We're almost done, I promise. The other scene I wanted to discuss was when they have their embrace on the beach. As is towards the end of the film, they get into an argument over Eloise she's going to get married to this man. Marianne wants her not to go, but she can't say that, so they have this like tiff. Eloise storms off. Moments later, Marianne runs down to her on the beach, and they embrace each other and cry together and forgive one another without saying it. Eloise,
Well,
Marianne asks for the forgiveness.
Right.
Eloise never says anything, but she turns to her. They both cry together, embrace each other, and decide together, without saying, to enjoy what time they do have. And I think that's the point of this.
The whole Oasis "don't look back in anger" kind of thing.
Totally, exactly.
You
got it. I love that this can really be applied to any relationship, even our own lives. Nothing lasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to end.
That's right. Everything has a life cycle.
Everything's got a life cycle.
Yeah.
But to me, that makes every moment that much more important and moving. Because it will eventually be over. This will eventually end. So everything you do and see and hear and taste is all so remarkable. There will be that last time you see someone, or that last time you hear that piece of music, that last
so
time
true.
you drive past that building. Like there will be that last time.
And when you're in their mode, everything is so heightened. You're really going to take in that last moment. For most of us, we don't know that the last moment has happened.
Absolutely, we can't see it.
I've had friends pass away at the wrong age, too young.
Yeah.
And one of these women that I knew in Europe, Jenny, was from England. And the last time I saw her, she's like, "Joe," and tried to talk to me. And I just said, "I'm sorry, I gotta," and I kind of blew her off for a ridiculous reason. Like, I don't know, something was going on in my head. That was the last time I ever saw Jenny.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she dropped out of a heart attack in Italy about a month later.
Yeah.
And I heard that news, and the first thing I thought was, she wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, no, I'm busy doing something stupid.
Yeah.
So you never know.
You never know. And that's what we can glean from this movie, is that even if it's going to end, as all things are, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
They both on that beach agreed to, yes, we're sad. Yes, we don't want this to end. But if it is, let's enjoy these last few moments we have.
Yeah, it's very mature.
Very mature. Love it. So if you enjoyed this movie, The Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and you want to see more like it, here's 5 you can watch right now. For a movie about a young woman drifting through careers and relationships while struggling to define herself in modern Oslo, check out the 2021 film The Worst Person in the World. You can watch that on Hulu. We might have to do that one. That's an excellent film.
Okay, I've not seen that.
For a film about a teenage girl experiencing a transformative, all-consuming romance that shapes her identity and emotional awakening, check out the 2013 film Blue is the Warmest Color on AMC+. I've heard a lot of great things about that.
We might be doing an episode on that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. For a movie about two ambitious women battling for influence over Queen Anne in a vicious and darkly comic power struggle, check out the 2018 film The Favorite, available on Amazon Prime. And for a whimsical Parisian woman let me start over. To see a whimsical Parisian woman secretly improve the lives of others while searching for love and meaning in her life, check out the 2001 film Amélie, available on Amazon Prime. Have you seen that?
Amélie, it's great.
Yeah, Amélie. Yeah. And for a movie about an Irishman's ruthless quest for wealth and status in 18th century Europe, leading to a slow, inevitable downfall, check out the 1975 film Barry Lyndon, available on Amazon Prime. That's because that one's like a painting too.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Kubrick. So what did we learn from watching Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Joe?
Tell us, Ryan.
That if you find yourself near a bonfire and actually catch on fire, leave it be. It's extremely cinematic. Okay? Somebody grab a camera. All right?
Oh, that's funny.
It looks cool as hell.
It sure does.
But what we really learned is that not every person we meet in our lives is meant to stay with us till the end, romantic or not. Mm-hmm. So we should make the most of each moment we have with someone because it could very well be the last.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, as always, you're the main character in your own life. So don't be afraid to take a step back and take a look at the bigger picture. Because sometimes the answers you've been looking for might just be on the frame.
So true.
We'll see you next time. Peace.